Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
This week on the Kindness Project, we talk about being high on beans, sidekicks, and the second part of the interview with Mark Bryant.
Right, why are you chewing a bean?
Crunch.
Why are you chewing a bean when we're trying a podcast? That is not the way you start a podcast, by chewing a bean. You've just put another one in your mouth. We've started already. And you're still bean chewing.
I'm trying.
Stop chewing a bean. Give me. Look, whenever you're ready, whenever you think, give me the beans. Pass me the beans. No, genuinely, no, not one bean, all of them. I'm confiscating the legumes.
They're Marge too.
They're mine too. They're mange me too now because I'm confiscating them. Hashtag mange me too.
You just said eat me too.
Right. Would you like to start now? You're finished mange tooing. Have you got an intro or not? Should we start?
I must have been high when I wrote this one.
What? High on beans. I was high on beans.
Right. I'm joined by Chris Dane, my butt-kicking sidekick.
And I'm joined by a girl. You know what? I'm going off piste now because I had one written down. But I'm joined by my daughter, who just told me she's officially high on beans. It's Charlotte Dames. How you doing?
I want my beans back.
I thought you were my sidekick.
No, you're my sidekick.
No, I don't think so. You're my bean-eating sidekick. What makes somebody a sidekick?
Sidekick's usually the one that formulates the plans. The more intelligent ones.
No, don't try and flatter me. Don't try that
The main character
technique.
and hero usually has to be brave and reckless. In order to succeed their goals. Therefore, the sidekick has to be the smart one.
Sounds like you, Charlotte. And they've normally got a bit of a quirk as well, like I don't know, bean eating or something. I don't know.
Don't you dare diss my mom.
Bean eating, yeah. Charlotte, the bean eating sidekick. Anyway,
My sidekick.
right, look, we can't be each other's sidekicks. I tell you what, you could
We're a
be.
butt-kicking duo.
You can. Duo. I don't know I don't know why your cockney came out just then. We're a butt kicking duo.
I just want my beans back.
Oh, where's my beans? we're a butt. I'll kick your butt if I don't get my beans.
There's some more in the fridge.
Don't you? I can't believe you've kicked my beans. I'm going to kick your butt. Because we're a butt-kicking duo. I don't. What is going on? Is this what? Right, you said to me last week that I was too hypey. You're too hypey this week.
I've been eating beans.
Is it the beans that have made you too
They
hypey?
make me happy.
They clearly do. They clearly do. Anyway, I'd like. It's weird that you mention duos this week. Because
I didn't mean to.
the question of the week and duo related is, what's the greatest duo or double act of all time? Because my original question and my original introduction before you started eating beans was, I'm joined by the girl who's clearly one half of the world's best podcasting duo in our house. So we must have some sort of butt-kicking psychic link that means that we're doing duo questions together. And then you started eating beans, and I lost my train of thought.
Before you started recording, I didn't even realise you'd press that red button. Also, those two guys are pointless. They're funny.
What two guys are pointless?
The two guys are pointless.
They are funny. They are funny.
No, they're not the two I would go with, but they are funny.
So your favourite duo are the two guys and pointless.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of duos, so they.
You know what? The 80s was the best era for duos. You had Little and Large, Cannon and Ball,
The best comedy now comes in threes.
Go on in.
The best things come in threes. The IT crowd, that's a group of 3 people.
Right.
Love the IT crowd.
Right.
Not the American version. There is American version. I like the English version because my favourite character is Moss. Just because, oh my god, he's hilarious.
Okay. So there were group 3. Tell me a bit more about other hilarious 3s.
No, just the best things come in 3.
Right. Give me one more funny 3. So the 3 in the IT crowd is your best duo of all time, is it? Christ on a back. That is officially a trio. you bean-eating, ass-kicking person. Anyway, on that particular note, dear listeners, and bean-eaters, and non-bean-eaters,
Other than our dog, we have to respect that our dog's decisions to eat.
Oh, he's a bin diver, isn't he? Is it?
A song.
What song did you make up?
It's called Doggy Diver.
Doggy Diver. Sing it.
No.
Sing it for the podcast. You've got to give us a bit of Doggy Diver.
Right. I based it off a song, but I can't remember what it's called because Mum started singing and I was like, I've got to make a parody.
Right, Doggy Diver. Right, well, are you listeners? Are you ready for Doggy Diver?
Hey, bin dipper, what you got for dinner? Looks like leftovers from tea. Hey, doggy diver, set your heart sights higher. How about something a bit more healthy? Woo!
Genius. Absolute genius. Hey, Big Dipper. Oh, hey, Bin Dipper.
What you got for dinner?
What you got for dinner? Right, but dogs don't care like where it comes from, do they? They just like food. Anyway, if you'd like to comment on Charlotte's bean eating, comment on Charlotte's songwriting talents, or actually, if you like, answer the question of the podcast, which is...
The first 2 are a little bit more interesting.
What is the best duo of all time? Feel free to contact us at...
Blah, 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 blah.
beans@beans.com. You can contact us at...
On a kindness.
On...
Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
You have to go into the search bar thingy.
Okay.
I like the search bar thingy. It can take you anywhere you want to go.
Anywhere in the world. If you're
on Google Maps.
If you put I love beans, you can get some good stuff. You know what? This is... Right, before you came in today, right... Sophie and I, my youngest daughter isn't well at the minute, so I've been studying at home today with my daughter, with my youngest daughter, and she's only just got her appetite back. So she's got a bout of scarlet fever. She's sort of taken some medicine. She's getting better. She's got her appetite back. So I was making her an omelette, and I went, "What do you want in your omelette?" Okay, and she went, "Ham." But I misheard her and thought she said jam. So I've gone, you want a what? You want a jam omelette? So then we're asking Alexa, can you give me a recipe for a jam omelette? No joy. No joy. Alexa don't know how to make a jam omelette.
Well, you put the eggs and the sugar together.
That's a pancake. That's the problem. Sweet omelette is just a pancake, isn't it? That's the problem. But listen to this, right? It had 35 recipes for human stew. Right. So I can't combine jam and an omelette, but when we start throwing in some random stuff, including human stew, Alexa's cool with that. Cannibalism. Alexa loves a bit of cannibalism, apparently. Anyway, you can get in touch with us at holler@thekindnessproject.co.uk on email.
Holler@thekindnessproject.co.uk. Oh, you just said that.
Right, lay off those beans. No more beans for you.
I love the beans.
I like the beans. At Holler Kindness on Twitter, or just Google the Kindness Project, or find us on Facebook, or anything like that. We are podcast-wise available on Spotify and iTunes and stuff like that. And if you'd like a limited edition I don't think they are limited, but T-shirt. You
Not limited edition, if you want.
You can find it at www.thekindnessproject.co.uk/merch. And on that particular note, should we get on with the show?
Oh yes.
This week, I forgot where I was there. This week, it's all that bean chat that I got a bit confused about. This week we've got the second part of our interview with a lovely man named Mark Bryant.
Ooh.
Now, if you remember from last week, Mark is
Queen's representative dude.
the Queen's representative dude. I don't know if he's ever been called that before, in Havering.
You got the dude from the Dudettes.
And I don't think that's his official title is Lord Lieutenant.
Dude.
Lord Lieutenant Dude of Havering. And in the second part, if you haven't listened to the first part, I'd suggest going back to last week. But in this second part of the interview, we talked to Mark about life, his work, his role as a police officer, who's got some great stories to tell, and we asked him some questions of the podcast.
Ooh.
Shall we listen?
Oh yes.
And speak to each other as well. Like, sort of understand that if there's good work that's going on across all these different communities, and it's not only religious people who do it, it's other people who choose to do it too. You've got more in common than you have. Again, so you believe what you want to believe, but the core of all those beliefs is you want to help people out, right?
I mean, when I was running it, we had an annual camp in Kent, Crowborough Camp, and we had the imam for the forces.
Yeah.
And he said, Colonel Bryant, where are your Muslims? And I looked at him.
Where are we Muslims?
And I said, ask me where my Catholics are.
Yeah.
He went, where are your Catholics? I said, now, ask me where my Sikhs are and my Protestants are. And the penny dropped, and he said, and he laughed.
Yeah.
Great bloke, he's born in Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
So I said, they'll come and talk to you, and others will come and talk to you as well.
Yeah.
When he left, he said, this is fantastic.
Gotcha.
He said, how do you get all these kids working?
Yeah.
Of course, typical soldierly way. I said, well, give them all a hard time. But they all had a sense of belonging. Their uniform was the same.
Yeah.
But there was a little bit of competition there, the different regiments.
Yeah.
They were all proud of their regiments.
Yeah.
And we encouraged them.
Yeah.
And I've always thought, if we can get the children talking, children as friends, they stay friends forever.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, like, the East End changes over time, and the thing that always surprised me is these. You probably see it now as much as you saw it before, but these community silos where kids of the same background only speak to kids of the same background. And I was brought up in Kennington in a time when you had the Caribbean immigrants coming in and the Indian immigrants coming in. And it was great because I've still got mates now who are from a bunch of different backgrounds, and I sort of get a perspective on their world. And without the perspective, I wouldn't understand them half as much as they.
You know, we're all children. They are the future. We've got to encourage children.
Yeah. So part of the role is about community liaison, community engagement, getting people together. What else does the role involve? What do you?
Well, I go and do talks about the lieutenancy and our role to church groups, where you know from
I've been to one of your presentations.
And I talk to them about the lieutenancy and what we do. And it's not we don't come from a privileged background. I'm not saying some of our members come from a different background to us, but it's all about talking and engaging people.
Gotcha.
I do presentations at schools.
How does that go down?
Oh, it's brilliant. I love it. And I'm at one school in Upminster where I present their yearbooks. They're changing over from the infants to the junior. And
gotcha.
That is such a special.
Yeah.
But then I'm involved with the schools on Harold Hill. I was the governor of Jones Academy, and we go there and they're doing great work because when I was young, when I was a policeman in this area, if you said you come from Harold Hill for a job, you wouldn't get a job.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because they're all labelled. Same as Raynham, this part of Raynham. You know, if you said, well, where do you come from? I come from the other club. People didn't want to give you a job.
Gotcha, interesting. Yeah.
Whereas most people are okay.
Yeah.
And I felt that the whole of my life.
Yeah.
You know, that.
So what's the secret to smashing those perceptions, do you think?
It's children.
Yeah.
Talking to children.
Yeah.
And going into other groups and talking like I do now to different organisations.
Gotcha.
You tell them about the kids.
Yeah.
You know, and I talk about the Drapers Academy. There's people now going to university.
Yeah.
There's people at Drapers Brookside Juniors are now playing musical instruments.
Yeah. Just encouraging that sort of stuff.
Just building that.
Yeah.
But they've got a multi-academy trust now where they're getting them as infants so they can raise their ideals from a very
values,
values and standards.
Just embed those values really early. I'm surprised actually, and I said this to you before, that you're not more cynical, because I suppose if you're spending 25. How long was it 25 years?
I spent 25 years in the police.
So 25 years in the police, you potentially see some of the worst behaviour in society. I'm not going to say people, but behaviour in society, and some of it from younger people. How do you stay positive? How do you sort of...
I think you stay positive. I mean, I had an incident when I was at Dagenham, outside the pubs there, where there was a man exposing himself, and I didn't realise that all his mates were in the pub because they were drinking after hours.
Okay.
And I got severely assaulted.
Right.
I was left for dead.
Gotcha.
That was a long time ago. However, one of the women that came after me, all their sons had been in trouble.
Right.
But she said, you know, you can't have all this.
Yeah.
She said to him, quick, you better run away because the police are coming, but she saved my life, no doubt about that.
Gotcha. So it's stuff like that, like
and
just
and
those
there are some really good people.
Yeah.
If you're a criminal and someone burgles your house, who do you go to, or assaults your children? Who do you go to?
Yeah.
And I think, particularly in Dagenham and Bow, I went to Bow. If they see that you're upstanding, you won't take no favours.
Yeah.
Some of the people that even have been in trouble with crime.
Yeah.
I mean, came out of Snares with Crown Court, and I saw this guy that I'd arrested for theft quite a few times. And I said, "What are you doing here?" "Oh no, Mr. Bryant," he said, "I'm on your side."
Gotcha.
I said, "I'm on your side." He said, "I'm the foreman of the jury."
But I mean, we spoke about this before, but sometimes people get involved in crime to be a sense of belonging, right? A sense of like finding a family. You know,
it's your mate saying, "Come on, let's do this little bit of mischief."
Yeah.
And you don't want to be
the one left out. Yeah.
So when I was younger, I was the one left out.
Gotcha.
Because I had the cadet force, and I didn't want to.
Yeah. That was
my get out. That was my get out. And I said, "No, I'm not doing that."
Gotcha.
But then I found, even then, I had people come with me because they were frightened to say.
Yeah. Well, that's the. I suppose that's the other thing as well. I mean, how many people did the cadet force sort of recruit as an alternative to going down a different road? And certainly for you, that was a get out. And
but the army, when I was younger, my dad didn't want me to join the army. I wanted to join at 15.
Gotcha.
He said, "No, it's full of prisoners. Full of criminals."
Yeah.
Because then, if you committed certain crimes, you could either go to prison for 9 months or do 3 years in the army.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that was his.
It was seen as something negative, but
and a lot of the immigrant children, where their country of origin, the army suppresses the people.
Yeah.
And so they were reluctant. We used to go and speak to their parents, and they understood.
Interesting.
The army in this country doesn't suppress the people.
Yeah.
And that's why they let the children come.
Well, as you say, in certain countries, the army is the sort of playground of the leader or dictator who's controlling that country. So I can sort of see that perception, right? But for those kids who need a family outside their family and a sense of belonging, I can see it working really well.
I mean, we were giving our instructors skills. Canoeing. First aid. Mountain leaders courses. They were all well-recognised courses.
Gotcha.
And I remember, and the courses were hard to get for me as a commander And I trained 6 of my people up to be medics.
Yeah.
And they started their own company.
Gotcha.
And when they came in, you had to have a first aid certificate.
Yeah.
They'd done a big business on it.
Yeah.
Charging companies fortunes.
Yeah. So the skills they learned, they got to use.
Yeah.
No,
they get well paid for it as well.
I really love that. What's the story that stands out for you since you've been a deputy lieutenant? I'm keeping getting it wrong.
Lieutenant. It's spelled lieutenant.
Yeah.
I think there's been numerous, but one of the reasons I got out of the police, I had a severe back injury.
Okay.
And every now and again, my back will lock. And I went to present some awards, badges to St John's, tiny little ones.
Gotcha.
And this little lad came in, and he was so shy, and he saw me standing there, my big blue uniform with the hat and the gloves, silver, and he wouldn't come up. So I got on my knees. Couldn't move. I couldn't get up.
How long were you down there for?
A fair while, because he kept getting lots of certificates.
Gotcha. Well, he's probably done you a favour because you didn't have to stand up and come down every time.
The uniform was uncomfortable anyway.
Gotcha.
It was that sort of one. But there are lots.
Yeah.
There are lots. I did a talk to an old ladies group in Crenham. And there was one lady there, and she was so full of fun, and she was making all sorts of suggestions to me.
Gotcha.
Innuendos, trying to embarrass me.
Gotcha.
And it turned out she was a former policewoman, one of the early ones, many years before.
Okay.
And I thought, right, she really...
There's banter going on
I said, you didn't say that when I left your house this morning. and she went and she just burst out laughing.
You know what though? I think the sort of part of that engagement thing is you've got to speak to people at a level, haven't you? Instead of being I suppose it's an interesting one from your background of being in cadets and in the police. There's that authority, but actually to communicate with people, you've got to do it at a level, right?
And I used to say to young policemen, look, don't go in at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If you go in there, there's only one way you're going, that's down.
Yeah.
Start off at a level, talk to them how you want to be spoken to.
Yeah, build relationships, right?
Even though they're abusing you gradually, you will win over.
Yeah.
If you dress and look the part and carry yourself well.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's the key. So, you've told us a couple of stories about your time on the beat. What's your favourite story of being a police officer?
There are so many.
Yeah.
I mean, one, when you went to Dagenham, the locals would try to test you out. And I was walking down Oxlow Lane and I saw this man, and he was massive. He was bigger than me, about 20 odd stone.
Okay.
And he had got this woman by the neck and was punching her.
Right.
So I pulled him off. He threw a right-hander at me, which I ducked.
Yeah.
I followed through, and he was on the floor.
Yeah.
The next thing, I felt this banshee on my back. It was the wife. And she dug her claws in my face.
Oh, God. So she started you as well.
And there used to be a saying, never get involved in domestic.
Yeah.
She clawed all my face.
Oh, God.
But there were so many different things. But one of the guys there, when we were younger, they had this kid there, his family life was dreadful. And he was always stealing. And he got involved with some kids, and they were committing arson and burglary. He didn't really want to be there. We got him in, and he went to court. But we had another young PC that was interested. He went on to do the youth work in the police. We sat down. This kid got him to join the local army cadet force. He went on. He did 23 years in the army. He came out as a sergeant.
Yeah.
And he was a ranger at a local park.
Okay.
And I'm talking. This was 30 years after.
Yeah.
And I didn't have money for the ticket. I said, can I just go in and come back and pay you? He went, no, I need you to do that. And he came in. I thought, what's going on there? He said, you don't remember me?
Gotcha, I knew you from...
And his name come to me straight away.
Yeah.
We had a chat, and he said, my son's there. He said, this is the man that saved me. Him him.
That is incredible. Yeah.
That's after all that.
Yeah.
And
does that make it worth it though? It must.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
But I've been very fortunate.
Yeah.
That I've seen some really troubled youngsters go on the right path. I've been on a train and they've stood up and stood to attention.
Yeah, gotcha.
Cried when you see them. They're managing companies now. Businesses.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I was saying to you earlier, one of our other interviewees is a guy called Gary Hutton, and he went through some sort of process, got in loads of bother, guy from the East End, guy from Bow, got in loads of trouble, got to a stage of his life when he felt he couldn't sink any deeper, and it was what I call, he calls it something different, but what I call a look in the mirror moment where you go, I've got two routes now, where am I going to go? And he runs a charity called Product of a Postcode that effectively helps these kids understand there's a better way. A really good guy. But it's really interesting, and I know we've spoken about this in the past. Do you think that some people are irredeemable, or everybody's redeemable, or because I like to think that most people are.
Most people are.
Yeah.
But there are some that are just not.
Gotcha.
It's the same right through the whole animal kingdom.
Yeah.
You get a rogue and they stay that way.
Gotcha.
And they don't change.
Yeah.
It's just something in them.
But most people need to see the right path, right?
They do.
Yeah.
But it's making that connection. If all your friends are criminals, and you're in that environment, it's very difficult to break away.
But it's interesting because like our conversation earlier about seeing what else is possible. When you were talking about the rabbi and the imam, exactly the same thing. They're just seeing a different way to see the world, aren't they?
Yeah.
And if you can only see the world of this is the life I'm going to lead, because all your mates are doing it, you just need somebody to give you that perspective.
To break away. It's difficult to break away.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had friends that have committed murder.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Bank robbers, top thieves, and I've met them on different occasions. We've just sat down and talked about when we were kids. Every one of them said, "Mark, I wish I could have done what you've done."
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that,
especially when you're older, and you look back at your life and
wish I could have done what you've done.
Yeah. Well, just out of interest, you could retire now, right? You could stop.
Yeah.
Why do you do what you do?
I don't know. Part of it is who I am.
Yeah.
And I am driven.
It defines you, right?
Yeah. I am driven.
Yeah.
I want to help people.
Yeah.
And I think if I can go into some of these schools and they can get something out of me presenting them in a prize in my best uniform, and that is something. That is really something.
Yeah.
And when they come up and they thank you, and their parents come up, I do one to some kids that have been in trouble, and I do a little talk about be the best you can.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's an army thing. Be the best you can.
Yeah.
And you can break away.
Yeah.
You've got the start now. You've got this BTEC, or you've got this Jack Petchel.
Yeah.
That is the start.
Yeah.
It shows all these people that rubbished you.
Yeah.
It shows you can do.
But it goes back to that thing. What defines you is what you can do in the future, not what you've done in the past.
It does, as long as and that's what I do. And I get to go to these things on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud to be there.
Jack Petchel Foundation does awesome work. I mean, I know the guy who runs the Speak Out Challenge, Steve Baker, and they do great work with kids, just helping them speak better. Because in a world where we're all looking at our phones more, just having the power just to have a conversation or present to a room is really powerful for them kids.
I've never lost my East End accent.
I'm quite proud of mine actually.
Someone made a comment to me quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I said, if I speak like you in the job that I would have done, I would have been dead.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I am who I am.
Yeah.
You take me or leave me.
Yeah.
I happen to work my way through to the top job.
Yeah.
Through the courses I've been on and being able to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the jobs I did as Colonel London, as a commandant, I used to brief all the new incoming sheriffs, the City of London and the Lord Mayor.
Gotcha.
About kids, cadets, all that.
Yeah. I actually think it's interesting because I go through, when I was in, so I'm 40 now, but when I was in my 20s I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder about my accent, funny enough. Now I realise that if you're good at what you do and you're good to people and you communicate fairly, most people don't care. And
but if you put on the accent, people think there's something wrong with it.
So I'm a great believer in being authentic, and my accent's part of who I am. But we've got super posh clients, and it's weird when you go into a room with them and they go, they're taking your advice, and you go, I'm only a boy from Canning Town. But as you said, that's the past. What defines you is what we do now.
I mean, one of my schools was Eton.
Yeah.
Harrow.
Yeah.
All the public schools.
Yeah.
And some of those youngsters that go to those public schools need to be in that cadet unit.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because a lot of their parents, they put them there, tons of money.
Yeah, but no care. Yeah, and no relationship.
Well, they care, but there's none of that.
Yeah, community. Yeah.
Sort of bonding.
Yeah.
So it works.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, I've really enjoyed our chat. How do people find out a little bit more about the lieutenancy?
Well, there's a website.
Okay, cool.
I think it's the www.greaterlondonlieutenancy.com.
And what we'll do is on the website we'll put a link to that website so people can find it.
But it is worth looking at it because they do so much for the community.
Well, I had a look yesterday actually, and I didn't realise the amount of work they do. If people want you to, or somebody from the organisation to come and present at an event or come and speak to kids, how do they get that arranged?
They can contact through the lieutenancy.
Gotcha.
If it's in Havering, just go through the mayor's office. They'll give you more details.
So through the mayor's office, they'll get in touch with you and
because I've got a really good relationship with the mayor here because it's citizenship service. And on the 12th we've got the His Royal Highness Duke Ken visiting the borough.
Also, but also there's representatives across London, right? In every single borough.
Every borough. It's got a representative, and there are other DLs living in those boroughs as well. Yeah,
excellent. Yeah, that's good stuff. Before we finish, we always, when we have a guest on the podcast, we always have a question of the podcast. So these are questions that we never prepare people for, but we want to ask you a few questions. They're all good fun. So what's the best use of an egg? Is it Cadbury's, creamed, omelette, boiled, or something else?
Well, for me, it's a Cadbury's egg because every Easter I used to give a Cadbury's egg to all my cadets.
Did you, right? Okay, that was their present. That was their present. All right, cool. What's the most inspirational movie you've ever watched?
Went the Day Well.
I've not seen that. What's that about?
It's a wartime one.
Okay.
Went the Day Well.
Who's it?
John Mills.
Okay.
The Germans dropped some parachutes here.
Okay.
To kill Churchill.
Yeah.
And all the villagers
congregated and interesting. I'll look that up. That's the first time we've had that one.
Well, Henry V as well.
Henry V.
His speech.
Yeah.
Laurence Olivier's speech.
You know what? I take my eldest is 14, and we go up to the Globe, Shakespeare's Globe, and some of the when I was a kid, I never got Shakespeare. Now I'm a bit older. Just being in that environment is inspirational. If you can sort of get to the bottom of
Henry V is good.
Yeah, really good. What's the best biscuit?
The best biscuit? That one is a ginger snap.
See, we've had, I think shortbread's the winner every time, but a ginger's, you're entitled, Mark, you're wrong, but you're entitled to your opinion. What, if you were supreme ruler of the world, what's the first rule you'd bring in play?
I'd make every politician visit war graves to see the result of their decisions.
I think that's really interesting. Yeah, that'd be good. If you could visit one time in the past in the history, what would you choose? And you can pick any era, any time. What time would you choose?
To recent history.
Either you can go back as far as you want.
Like to have been a fly on the wall when Margaret Thatcher decided
Falklands.
we're going to war.
See that? Have you seen the Iron Lady?
No.
Have you seen that? That was a really interesting perspective on that sort of decision. But it was Meryl Streep. They made it quite recent. It was really good. Who's the best Muppet?
Oh, it's got to be. Oh, I like the two old boys. Really.
Yeah, they're not bad. I think Hannibal, the drummer's pretty awesome.
He's the one with the furry.
Yeah, he's really good. And what's your favourite work of art?
Goodness me. I like some of the Turner stuff.
Turner's good. Turner's very, very good.
I like the sunflowers as well.
Okay, the sunflowers I like. I was in New York last year, and I got to see Starry Night by Van Gogh, and I got in trouble. It's at the Met in New York. That's not. It's in the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and I've been waiting for years to see it because I like Van Gogh's stuff. But I got really close to the painting. I'm sort of talking about that, and this this big burly American security guard pulled me off quite quickly. Funny enough. Okay, so last question. Last question is. Let me just find it. What's the best piece of advice you've ever had?
Be true to yourself.
Love it. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on the podcast. I've really appreciated it.
I'll be grateful if any swear words there.
We haven't got any, so you... Thanks, mate. Cheers. So that was the second part of the interview with Mark. What did you think?
I thought it was nifty.
Did you actually listen?
No, you never give me the opportunity.
Did you just lie about that then?
No. I mean, I about the nifty bit, but I bet it was nifty. He sounds like a nifty dude.
He's a nifty dude. He's an amazing guy. So should we get on with the end of the show?
Oh, yes.
Are you laughing about beans again?
Beans.
Why is so funny about beans? Tell me.
They're just nice.
What am I missing? Am I missing a bean-related trick?
You're supposed to eat them and enjoy them.
Yeah, they're a bit bland, the beans. The mange too that you have is a bit bland. I'm really sorry.
I like it. They're crunchy.
They're what?
They're crunchy.
Cromchy? Is that actually a word? No. Cromchy. C-R-O-M-C-H-E.
Crunch. Like
Crump.
crunch. You don't make a crunch sound, you make a crunch sound.
What is a crump sound and how does that differ from a crunch sound?
It's like crunch but with more onomatopoeia because it sounds more like what you say when you actually take a bite.
But show me how it sounds when you take a crunch of a bean. Help me understand how a bean gets crumped. I mean, it doesn't even sound like anything. Crunch. Right. Okay. Let me try it. Crunch.
No, it doesn't sound.
Right. Crunch. Crunch. No, right. Right. I don't know how you eat your beans, darling, but I've never eaten my bean like that. I've never crunched anything in my life.
I enjoy a good bit of crunchy.
Good for you. Should we do the end of the show?
Yeah.
Amazing. Last week's question of the podcast was a good one.
Are you going to get it right this time?
I might do. This is day 2 of this particular end. If you... Oh, sorry, let me give it a bit of dramatic tension. You're on the bake-off. Paul Hollywood's there, ready to crunch your...
Oh, please, you don't crunch a cake.
Oh Oh, please. Oh, please, you don't crunch like you crunch a bean.
You crunch a bean.
Don't be all offended that I'm not crunching my cake. Oh, please, you don't crunch a cake. What foods are you allowed to... I'll get on to that question in a minute. What
foods?
Crunchy foods?
Yeah, you crunch.
Surely you crunch crunchy foods.
Crunchy foods.
What crunchy foods do you crunch?
You crunch beans.
Beans.
You crunch toast.
You definitely crunch toast.
No, you crunch toast.
Right. I don't know if toast is crunchy or crumbly. Right, this isn't catching on. Nobody at home is listening to this going, oh, I'm definitely going to use the word crunch from now on. No, it is. The reaction I like is, oh, please, give it a rest. Nobody's crunching a cake. No, nobody's crunching anything, especially not a cake. So, cake-related question of the podcast.
What is your bake-off masterpiece?
Yeah, what would be your bake-off showstopper? And we had a bunch of answers to this, including an answer from a bloke who's actually been on Bake Off.
Whoa!
I know. So let me start. John Cook went with carrot cake. That way, even if I lose, I'd be happy. Heidi Ball went for a tower made of cupcakes. And that's when Stu Morrison got involved, right? Now, Stu Morrison wasn't on Bake Off, but he replied on Facebook and tagged a guy called Stu Henschel, who was on Bake Off. And Stu said, Stu, what would you do for your final? And did you have anything special planned? Because I think he went out in the heats. And Stu Henschel just went, the only cake that I'd ever make on Bake Off ever again is humble pie. And apparently he's got the recipe down with no beetroot in. Louise McNamee said, if you were judging Chris, it would have to be a butterbean cake in the shape of a parachute. and then Roberta White, mother-in-law, your nan and friend of the show, said, "Me nan, I wonder if Nanny Bob crunches."
Everyone crunches, they just don't realise.
Oh, I just don't know the phrase for it yet. Or a cake that resembles pigs in blankets. I reckon. I know I said last week about my Russian doll cake, but pigs in blanket and butterbean cake might be the way to go. Tracy Kincella just said roast dinner. Now, I don't know whether she meant cake or just she'd bake a roast dinner. Can you bake a roast dinner?
You can bake the Yorkshire puddings.
Yeah, I think Yorkshire puddings might be very crunchy.
They are very crunchy, especially if you burn them.
Cassie Dames just put a photo saying, here's one I made earlier. And Robert Gumby said, a circular segmented cake with as many different varieties of cake, all the same size slices, and coated all over so it just looks like a plain cake. So we'd do a very elaborate cake in the disguise of a plain cake. Don't know if that would stop the show, Rob, but I like the idea. Anyway, that is it again for the question for the Kindness Project. We're watching out of our back garden window a dog on a table, which is always good. And on that particular strange note, goodbye.
Yeah.